Welcome back, everyone, to Friends of Mortgage Heroes. I'm Andy, and today I have the distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you a newer friend of mine, Kody G. Kody, welcome to the studio. Now, the reason I invited Kody here is because he is a coach, an NLP expert, and a strategist on how to communicate to other people. So rather than me guide the ship like I normally do, I think I might have to take a little bit of the backseat on this today. I'm normally the communicator in the corner trying to tee up people to talk about great things, but I have an expert with me here today who talks about communication and coaches and trains people as his entire career. So I really would love to have you talk to people today and how to better communicate in any scenario they find themselves in, like we talked about pre-show. We have a lot of realtors, lenders, nonprofits, people in the military and in around the veteran space that watch this particular program. And what I hope that they can learn today is a way to take wherever they're at in communication and more effectively convey the messages that they care about with purpose and meaning, and actually have the outcomes in other people's lives that they're hoping for. So that's what I want to do today.
Yeah, very good. Well, happy to be here first off. Beautiful set that you guys have. I really mean that. And what I love about you, most importantly, is that you really care, like you just said, about making people feel good, feel comfortable, feel good. And just the level that you take that in it's beautiful. So thank you for that.
Well, something I've already learned from being around you in a couple of other situations, one at the Standard, two here, actually having you at the studio once, when Oscar was here, and then at the Standard, and then also over at Genergy. So I'm starting to see you around, and we're like having these conversations. We talked on the phone several times.
Yeah.
You are a great listener. Where does that come from?
Probably being a horrible listener and being so focused on what I want to say or how I'm looking or how I sound, not focusing on what the other person's actually saying, that I had to work on that so deeply. And I'll break that down a little bit. But I was on a coaching call this morning. I had 6 guys that just started a new program with. And the biggest thing we talked about was the emotional control to pause. So giving yourself permission to pause, but also giving someone else permission to pause. So when you say something, I'm not going to cut you off and say what I want to say right after. I'm going to wait like a half a second to make sure that you're actually done before I go in there and speak again. And so it comes from an intent desire to know what you mean by that.
So did someone have to tell you were bad at listening? And if you were bad at listening, how'd you hear that?
Yeah, probably.
not to be funny or cheeky, but
Yeah. No, probably a ton, man. And I grew up a very shy kid. Communication was my biggest lacking point until I was about 19 years old. And communication was very poor in my house, not to be dishonoring, but my mother and I did not communicate at all. Horrible communication. I couldn't talk to a girl I found attractive. I couldn't make friends on a deep level. And it was all from my inability to express really how I felt in here. And so often people can't talk, not because they don't have the words to say, it's jumbled in their brain. And they're focused on things like, well, again, how do I sound? How do I look when saying this? And so for me to answer your question, when I realized that when you truly listen to what someone means by what they're saying, you now know what they're actually saying. Most people just listen to the words, but I'm trying to listen to the tone that you're actually saying those words with. Or I'm listening to, what do you mean by that specifically? And so a phrase I use is how specifically, or what I'm hearing you say is blank. And it's a technique, but it's also a tool to help me understand. And the reason why is an assumption is a mark of a lazy communicator. So anytime I assume that I know what's going on, I'm going to mess it up. So it's a genuine curiosity to know the other person.
I don't want to make an assumption, but I'm going to ask the question. I think I already know what the answer is going to be. But do you feel like the evolution of social media and our online communication is making people better at communicating or worse, and why?
100% worse, man. And nowadays there are people that are leading Bible studies, people that are doing stuff just like this off of a chat GPT script. And it's making people worse at actually being able to articulate what they think and express it through the spoken word. And in Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue. It exemplifies so deeply the power of your words. And when you know where those words come from, your values, your identity, who you truly are, you don't need to focus on a script to read it. It just becomes you. So people are getting far worse at it. And those soft skills, I think, are going to be making a comeback here very soon.
So because you're saying it's getting worse, is there something that, as a not as not, I was going to say casual observer. You're not a casual observer. You're like an in-depth observer. As an in-depth observer of it getting and deteriorating and becoming worse online, have you been able to identify from your own lens what things are making us worse at communicating? Is it DMs? Is it the ability to like fire off something with our thumbs and be a keyboard warrior? Like what do you think are these attributes that are making communicating online making us worse communicators?
I would say it's something completely different, far deeper, and it's people's ability to feel worthy makes all the difference in your ability to communicate. And nowadays, I feel so many people are stuck living in bondage of something: sin, struggle, not being good enough, the social media, to your point, seeing this lifestyle or seeing a guy that's 32 like I am, they've accomplished this and that. And I just experienced it at that meeting that I was at. He's like, "You're 32, congrats on what you've done." And I'm like, man, I should be so much further. And so this comparison, this self-doubt, this not feeling good enough in our own skin, it gives people a hindrance when they're actually communicating. So it's not just the little aspects of it, it's a deeper layer of their mind.
So how are you teaching people? So knowing that, how are you taking that understanding and then conveying that to people who might not even be aware yet that the comparison is undermining their ability to communicate effectively?
Yeah.
What do you even do in that situation?
Great question. A lot of questioning. So to figure out the root cause, in NLP, we talk very deeply on what is the root cause of why this issue is manifesting. Your communication is a symptom of the problem. The root cause is lack of worthiness, not being good enough. Maybe when you were younger, you would speak up and your parents told you to only speak when you're spoken to. Different things like that cause people to have these symptoms of, I'm shy. And that was my biggest thing. So going to the root cause of who they are, why they're stuck, through intentional question asking.
So who was that person in your life that was, I mean, you're sharing this very easily with me, like back of your hand, no second thought, or without having to think about it. I mean, so who was that person in your life that showed you that there was a different way that was maybe better for you?
Yeah.
Because you're referencing it wasn't this way.
Right.
Like, what was that pivot point then?
Dude, well, this is 13 years of intense training. There are not many things that I'm very good at, but communication, psychology, human behavior, and sales. I had a deep fascination for everything in that arena. And when I was 19 years old, I got very deep into like the law of attraction and a lot of self-development, not bringing God into it, but just how can I get better out of a deficit? I didn't think that one day I was going to be teaching thousands of people this. I just knew I had to help myself with these issues.
Yeah.
And so going down that rabbit hole of learning all of these things, and I would say my real big turning point, it was becoming a trainer of NLP. So I think I probably spent close to $15,000 on practitioner, master trainer, master trainer development program, and all these things to get me very good at understanding not just NLP, but how to teach it, how to teach in general, how to speak in a way that people actually listen, and a lot of uncomfortable stuff. So we would do stuff in training where I'd have to give a 5-minute presentation with my arms glued to my body to learn the power of body language. Or then I would only be able to use 4 gestures, like one where I'm thinking and I have to use it intentionally, one where I'm trying to deliver something. Only 4 gestures that I can use. And so you get very intentional.
Wow.
Now you notice a lot of people talk with their hands and it's distracting at times. So that NLP course for me was a huge pivot point.
Well, and even you bringing that up, it's like there's a big difference between being deliberate in your movements versus it being a tick. Or like it's just actually more of I don't say like a comfort blanket, but some people use filler words because they don't know what to fill that gap in. They don't want the pause. That feels uncomfortable. But there's a deliberate nature to which nonverbal communication can help you, but also hurt you too.
For sure.
So before I go to that part, I want to ask you. So if you were to consolidate, and maybe this is even a terrible question to ask, how much time did you spend being trained to then go and actually help people?
Man, I remember years and years and years and years where I'd be at YouTube for hours, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night on YouTube, studying everything I possibly could before I even got trained. And this was just years of ongoing things where I'd stay at home, my friends would go out, and I'm just trying to understand my own brain. Like, how come when we go out, I'm the guy that can't make a friend? And so I'd study what is going to help me overcome this stuff. So thousands of hours, to say the least. And I think the issue, though, so many people can study and they do spend time learning and gaining knowledge. They don't do anything with it. So I was intentionally putting myself in awkward situations. And this is not even to make money in business yet. This is just, again, to speak. I'd go to the grocery store and say, hey, how's your day going? They'd say, good. Oh, cool. What time are you off today? 8 o'clock. Cool. I asked them 2 questions. Awesome. That was a win for me. The next time I'd ask one additional question. Or at the gas station, what's been the highlight of your day? And I couldn't think of what to respond after that. I wasn't that advanced yet. And for me, it was coming a long way. But I would put myself in these situations uncomfortably, intentionally, so that I was either forced to get better or forced to just feel incredibly awkward.
Dang, man, that's like a really devoted commitment to growing yourself.
Yeah,
being intentional about putting yourself in situations that are forcing you to ask these questions as like rehearsal.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm hearing you say this. I'm like, those are reps, dude.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, when did you have a moment when you felt like, oh, this is kind of locked in, or is it just progressive? Like you're always still learning something still.
Always learning something, man. And everyone is so different. That's why it's like sort of like jiu-jitsu, that last podcast I was here for. You can become a black belt, but the way that you roll against one person is going to be different based on their style. So your communication style, your learning style, your speaking style, completely different than the people you're talking to. So you're always adjusting, always adapting. And for me, it's a never ending game. The second I feel like that I'm an expert, as you said earlier, I'm going downhill because I've stopped learning. And so there's so much left to master in different arenas of it. And for me, one of the hardest issues was personal. And so I noticed that I would have issues when it came to my relationships. I did not want to talk about issues. I just wanted everything to be good and happy and good vibes. And we don't need to have any arguments. But what I was really doing is I was overlooking real issues out of my fear of being vulnerable. And so again, most communication issues are driven from a fear of not being something.
Man, that's probably so true for people watching right now. It's that hesitation to be vulnerable, and just wanting everything to be okay. Like somehow me doing nothing is going to make it better if time passes.
Right.
It's like, that's not the way it works.
It doesn't work that way.
Oh man, I'm listening to you say that. I'm like, man, I used to do that too. And, oh shoot, I can think of a situation where I had done that before.
Yeah.
Business and personal. It's like, shoot, no one wants to talk about the tough stuff, but that's where all that trench work is done, and great things can be built.
Yeah.
I would like to also give some space to give some practical advice to people that are introverts and extroverts. So maybe we can take it one at a time.
Yeah.
You know, when you're teaching a group of people or a room, how are you being aware of knowing that there's both in the room, and they're going to have much different speeds at trying to overcome the barriers to trying all these things?
Yeah.
What are some of the things you tell the extroverts? Is it just an attaboy, go get them? Or what do you tell the extroverts, and what do you tell the introverts?
It's a really good question. So in NLP, we call these personality types of meta programs, the way that you're programmed from a meta level. And introvert and extrovert, the way it's explained, when you're in a group of people, do you feel recharged or do you feel like your battery is being drained? And it's one question to identify which one you are. And someone like myself, I'm both. I'm very much so in that middle of both. And so with that, I think the biggest misconception is that extroverts are the best speakers, or extroverts are the ones that are doing the most talking. I know a lot of my good friend Chris Doe. He's a huge introvert, but he speaks all over the world. So I know a lot of people who are introverts, but they have a message to share. So that's the first concept, is that just because you're an introvert doesn't mean that you can't become a great speaker. Number two is that in realizing there are different types of people. And so one thing I'm always trying to listen and like learn for, is this person someone who learns based on the why? Do I just need to tell them why this is important and they're going to be bought into it? Does this person learn based on the data, like the what? Just tell them what it is and that's more of an extrovert. Tell me what it is, I'm going to execute. Some people are very how driven. They ask a lot of questions. Well, how do I do this? What's the strategy? When other people just need the mindset behind it. And so being able to identify and speak to every different type of person is so incredibly powerful. And it's knowing your audience, having one message that resonates with multiple people in one sentence.
You know, I've been in situations before where people who self-identify as saying, I'm just an introvert, they automatically think that they're maybe at a starting point way behind everybody else. And it's just not true.
Right.
I can say it's not true, but to them, it still feels true.
Of course.
However, even here in these conversations, I talk to people regularly that are on, the extreme end of both and every step in between.
Right.
But the thing that I try to remind people is like what you've been through, your story, what you're offering, your service, your product. It's important enough for you to step into that role that you have to be in to convey the meaning and the purpose of those things.
Yeah.
So that the customer you have can get that desired outcome that they're hoping for.
For sure.
They're trusting you for a reason, whether you're introverted or extroverted. The difference might just be in what you have to practice and how long you have to practice or how natural it becomes. But you're even defining things that weren't natural that had to be rehearsed in order to become second nature.
100%. And oftentimes I would say your areas where you're deficient or you lack, that's your biggest strength because now you know how to approach it from all angles. If I just woke up one day and was good at speaking, how qualified am I really if God just gave me a gift and now I'm using it? It was something I had to actually learn from every single angle of why am I not good? Where am I not good? How do I get better? And that makes you qualified to actually understand and teach it.
So how does someone go about identifying for themselves what their weak points in communication are? Is it just listen to the complaints of the people around you, like your family, your friends, your coworkers, like you never listen or you're always twisting? Like, is it as easy as that, or that actually is hard? Or is there something else people should be doing to kind of like self-survey and analyze where they're weak at communicating and where there's areas of opportunity for growth?
Yeah, so I think communication is one of the areas that goes into every single other area. The money you make, you being able to get in a job in an interview, quality of relationships, networking, it goes into everything, but it's one of the least focused on skills because we already do it. In sales, if you're not closing deals, you can very clearly see there's a deficit. But in communication, it's harder to draw that ROI or a tangible, this is where I'm at and this is where I get better at. So you can listen to the feedback around you. And in NLP, we teach the meaning of your communication is the response that you get. So if I think I'm a great communicator, but no one is understanding me, that response is that actual meaning of my communication. But by that point, it's too late. If people are telling you you're not listening, you've already ruffled feathers and you're already at a point where now you're working, trying to build yourself up from somewhere, from a ground level, versus investing in some sort of coaching, some sort of time, even some sort of energy to focus on how to speak better. And one of the easiest ways to do it on your own, record a 1-minute video. Notice how many ums, likes, ahs, rights that you say, you knows, and see how you sound. Close your eyes then for the second one. If you close your eyes, do you sound convincing based on your tone? Now you can't see your smile, you can't see your body language, and then put it all together. Do your words, your tone, and your physiology all line up? Because that's true congruence.
So are these the same kind of things that you're teaching when you're doing these group instruction or large scale seminars and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so one of the most beautiful things, I've gotten to a place where I don't have so much curriculum ahead of time. I go based on what was said and I build upon that. So asking people where they're actually at, what do you want to work on? Then I'll say, well, what does that mean to you to work on this area of articulation? I'll say, well, I just can't get the thought out of my head. Okay, well, what are you thinking when that thought's there? They'll actually think about something they've never thought about before. Well, I'm thinking about, I don't know, like what if they judge me? Now I work on a root of judgment that has nothing to do with communication, but it has everything to do with it. And it's like, this is the deeper layer of that identity and the value work that I found truly makes all the difference.
So you mentioned the inability to articulate the idea that's in the head.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that are plaguing people in their communication right now? Like and it doesn't have to be like the top 10 or whatever, but what are some things that come to mind right away when you go, oh, I see this regularly across different verticals, different industries, different room sizes?
One of the biggest things is filler words, and fillers are killers. People think they need to over-explain or I need to overshare my value to show that I know what I'm talking about, when actually it's far less. The more potent and efficient and effective you are with each word, it's going to land and resonate more. I'd say the next one is going to be not over-talking yourself. Sometimes people will let a point land and then they over-talk and try to re-justify or take it into a different direction. And now the entire tone of what they try to say just dissipated based on them going to a new direction. And so when you understand that, I believe I shared this at Garen's, but it's brevity. If you can say something in 5 words, you do not need to use 10. And that comes from being able to give yourself the pause. So many times I'll be talking and I'll take a second, I'll think about what to say, just like that, versus having to use that filler like, like, right. And as humans, anytime there's awkward silence, we have a tendency to try to fill it.
That's super true.
I didn't feel awkward there, did you?
No, I was waiting. I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna go about 3 seconds here.
Yeah, felt good.
No, I don't feel awkward at all. And I think even the context of having podcast space, people think, oh, we're supposed to talk every second.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm thinking about things.
Yeah.
Like again, I have no paper in front of me. I know what I wanted to talk to you about.
I see the
today.
notes there on your lap.
But yeah, yeah. No, I have no specific notes because I already knew coming in today that I wanted to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I wanted that conversation happened to be recorded. I happened to want it to be recorded.
Yeah.
So I can share it with people and they can learn more about themselves in this, as much as it is trying to get people to know who you are, what you do, what they can come to you reliably for.
Right.
I also want them to go, wow, where am I having deficiencies too?
Yeah, for sure.
The people around us are really important, that we help them experience that rising tides raise all ships.
Mm-hmm.
I love the saying and I hate it. I love the saying because everyone kind of knows what that means.
Yeah.
I hate the saying because it's mostly philosophical for people. They say it, but it means nothing.
Right.
Versus, no, I'm really wanting this for you.
Yeah.
I want you to take something you've learned today and deploy it in your business, deploy it in your nonprofit, deploy it in your personal life, and have something positive happen as a result of taking that next step in that action.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk.
Right.
There's usually a lot less action, and the action's where things start happening. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you came to talk about these things,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that we can just have that gap. And I'm also curious myself. There's things that even at 47, I'd still do things communicatively that are sometimes less efficient than others.
For sure. Always. We
I
all
got to
do.
work on that myself too.
Yeah.
And we do media here all day long. It's like our thing.
Yeah.
So I was interested when I first met you too. I'm like, oh, I know there's still stuff for me to learn. I just know there is. So I want to ask you, when you're listening for people talk about what they think the problem is, how often are they right? That what they think the problem is, it is, versus they think it's this thing and you're like, well, it's actually this other thing that you're not even aware of.
Yeah, I would say the answer to that is yes, meaning that oftentimes people know, again, the symptom of it. They know what it manifests as. I can't speak clearly. I say a lot of ums, but they don't know where it originates from. That's subconscious. And it's said that over 99% of your brain is subconscious. When I was driving down here, I'm not thinking about every red light that I hit. I'm not thinking about making a left turn. I'm not thinking about which shoe I put on first. But I guarantee you, if I were to put a camera in your place and film you every morning, you put the same shoe on the same foot, whether it's left or right first. We have these subconscious patterns that we are operating in. And so with that, so much of that is happening beneath the surface, people are not aware of. And when you can help to identify that, you now be able to fix, again, that root cause that changes everything. So people know what it looks like when they're not a good communicator. No one ever knows why. And it's almost like, hey, I'm not good at sales. I can't overcome objections. Oh, well, say this line, use this script. What's the best objection overcomer? Versus actually understanding why the objection is arising in the first place. And it's getting to that, again, the root of what it is.
What would you say is an overlooked area of opportunity for people in business or in, I'll say, nonprofit space? Is it's in some form or fashion we're providing a service for money in exchange.
Yeah.
So what's a commonly overlooked area of opportunity that you think people should be putting their eyes on right now?
I'd say their ability to influence and influence ethically. A lot of people think of sales from a negative connotation, and it's big, but being able to use your words to create an outcome are very important. If you're trying to get someone to help invest into your business or raise money for whatever cause that you're doing, or if you're trying to sell a service and you truly know it can help someone, it's your obligation to say it in a way that is going to make the most sense, where that person is ready to at least listen to it. Now, you can't convince someone to do what they don't want to do. You just can't. You're not saying, give me your credit card, I'm going to make you sign up for this. It doesn't work that way. But you can say it in a way that is at least more attractive to listen to, where someone has the ability to have buy-in. And a lot of people overlook that. They think, I don't want to be salesy, so I'm going to just be on the opposite side, very non-pushy, or whatever the case might be, and it's actually hurting them. And it's sad to see great people that have a great product, a great service, a great business, but they can't get it out there to people, and they're not making money that they need to be making.
But the reason I asked that question of you is because off camera and behind the scenes, we talk to a lot of people in business and in nonprofit space. And I am starting to see a common theme where people are hesitating to communicate what they do, their value, how they can help people online. They don't want to do it. But it's also this entire medium that we're doing right now as a demonstration, as much as it is a value add of the thing that I want people to do. And what is starting to concern me is that people who are very good, like you're saying, are missing out on this next step they need to take, which will ultimately cause harm to their business or to their organization.
Right.
And I'm trying to encourage and inspire them to take the next right steps. So I wanted you to come at this moment in time to talk about this because silently and privately, I'm having conversations with people
100%.
that are hesitating and they're uncertain, and the barriers to entry they see they for themselves are very high, and it seems like such a wild commitment. And at the same time, it is also the very thing that might even save their organization.
Right.
That they just have to go do.
Right. Because everything from marketing to sales, it all comes to the word. Whether the word is on a landing page, the word is on a video that you make, the word is on a sales call, the words have power to create the outcome that you want. And people not focusing energy, time, or attention on that, you're doing a huge disservice to the growth of your business. And that's probably why you're struggling. You can have the best podcast production and cameras, but if you can't clearly articulate your value, people are not going to sign up. They don't care if that's an FX3 or if that's a ZV-10. They don't know the difference. But you being able to say, this is what I do, this is how I do it, and overcome their true concerns, their doubts, their fears, their beliefs, their desires, that is how you win the business. And again, there's no strategy or technique for that. It's overcoming the own battle going on in your mind. And if I had to summarize the thing that I do the most, I help people overcome that battle that they have internally. Same one that I had about not being good enough, not being worthy. I don't have the right thing to say. So people now stutter. Did that sound good? Crap. And now they mess up. Now they're thinking while they're speaking, which chops up their train of thought. And now they have to start grabbing So there's so many different layers deeper that we just see it as, man, that person's a great speaker, a great communicator, but they don't know why. Maybe extroverts are better at speaking, but there could also be a downside to that. A lot of extroverts will overtalk or be loud and turn people off. So there's two sides of that same coin that you need to focus attention on, and they're all driven from something in their past, everything.
So in the era where, AI is everything and AI is taking over this and AI is taking over that. I'm not 100% that AI is taking over everything. I know there's certain arguments to be made for some industries more than others. But you're talking right now about words and words and where they show up and how they show up. And this entire thing is built off language. The entire infrastructure is built off of language. And teaching these models to understand the context of language as well. In your position, how much of a threat do you think AI is to people in sales and marketing and that? It's kind of part A. How much of a threat do you think it is? And then how much do you think of an opportunity it might be?
Yeah, man, I'd say 100% both. A lot of jobs, a lot of low-level jobs where you don't have the skill are going to be wiped out by that. If you're selling a small product or a widget where AI or a chatbot can do it better, there's probably not going to be a need for that or your basic customer service. But if you're very advanced at what you do, being able to explain the value of your company, your business, you have a huge area for opportunity. A lot of people, I believe, are going to go to using AI bots, even for sales calls. That trust is going to hit an all-time low, and people are going to be searching and yearning for that deep connection of stuff like this. So, hey, Andy, there's 50 podcast setups here in San Diego, but who are you? Let me find out more about who you are. And people are going to start searching for that now more than ever. So I believe that it's always been a great time to know how to communicate, but right now more than ever, like Tony Robbins says, your ability to communicate determines the quality of your life, especially with opportunity that's kind of going in. As we all know that it is, you can start to rise based on how well you speak.
Do you find yourself in situations where you're actually compelling people to use AI to help them in communicating? Or are you just saying, like, you go make your own choice? What side of the conversation do you typically find yourself on?
To be honest, I might sound like an old man by saying this. I try to help people avoid AI at all costs when they are communicating. Now, if you need to have 20 content ideas, there are things that make it more efficient. But what happens, especially while you're learning, is people over-rely on it. And I've seen it happen where people are leading, again, a Bible study, or they're doing stuff with AI's thoughts and it's not their own. And now you're training your brain to not be able to think, but just be able to recite something that you're seeing. And once you get good at it, you can use these tools and kind of bend and break rules. But while you're learning, you're gonna over rely on it. It's like a sales script. It's good to maybe help give you some structure, but I want you to actually speak what you're thinking. And I want you to mess up. You're not gonna mess up as much with an AI script or reading what it is. It's going to sound good. Now you're giving yourself the false illusion that you're getting better. You're just getting to be a better reader.
I was just going to ask you if you think that's lulling people into a false sense of security. Sounds like the answer is yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do believe it.
Wow, man. So, geez. So where people are, I'm saying G's because in my mind, I'm thinking, there are people who at their work right now or their duty station or wherever, they're being advised to use AI as part of their job. They're being told, we need you to do it this way and use these set of tools. I have several friends I'm thinking of right now who have just had this conversation with. And like, no, we're being asked to use our internal AI to help us with this and that. And it's not necessarily because of their deficiency of knowledge or understanding or expertise.
Yeah.
It's the speed of the application of it.
Can't beat it.
So I kind of see it both ways, and I'm struggling here because I don't have an answer. But I see and I understand people are at their job being told, hey, we built this so it could help you do and execute this stuff faster. At the same time, you're an expert in this thing and you're trusted and you're well experienced. You have 20 years in this super deep knowledge base of XYZ. Yeah. We need you here to actually make this make sense.
Right.
I don't know what to make of that yet.
Well, the difference is, what is your intention behind it? Are you looking to learn and to grow, or just to be more efficient? You can make it more efficient with AI every single time, but are you truly getting the skill that you need to? And the company, the big corporation, doesn't care if you're getting the skill. They want it done. They'll do it with a robot if that's what it takes to make it efficient. They care about cutting cost and increasing their profits. That will happen with AI no matter what. They don't care if their people are developing, which is why so many people feel like they're undertrained or maybe even overtrained, because people are not putting the right kind of emphasis into training. So your ability to dive deep into training specifically with communication, I believe is going to shift the environment that you're in the next probably 2 to 3 years. When the job market is open, they're looking at who can do the best on the resume, who has the most skills. But if you go in there and say, I will be the best worker here, here's why, here's the value that I bring, you're going to get way more looks than the person who has the best resume. And that's been since the beginning of time, but now it's going to be more exposed than ever.
At risk of making another assumption, is this kind of an arena where you feel like there's an open space for you as a trainer and a coach right now too? Is that the greatest area of opportunity for you, is to work with companies and business people, salespeople and fundraisers in excelling in their communication so that they can secure their space in a world that's also leaning into technology to do everything faster and better than us?
Yeah, I would say it could be. If I'm being honest, it would be more specifically, if I really wanted the best opportunity, it would be me diving into more sales training, because that's where it manifests the most. So where people are going to need the most training is in sales once everything is starting to get efficient with AI. But my passion, what I believe God put me on this earth to do, is to teach communication. The outcome might be so that you can get better at sales, but I want to teach the everyday person as well, or someone in business, how to communicate better without just selling. So there's a lane that I can run in with that right now, because it will be needed. I don't think the opportunity is as great as it's going to be in about 12 months. Because right now people are thinking, we don't want that. We don't need that. What we need right now is to shrink it down, to bring the AI in. Once that goes the opposite way, I believe that's when that opportunity is going to really be open.
So it's still on the time horizon, is still off in the distance just a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the near term, like you said, like 12 months.
Yeah. My complete guess. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, your guess is, I say as good as mine. It's way better than mine. You're gonna know that guess better than I will. But I was sitting over here listening to it, and I was thinking about how I was asking earlier if social media is making us better or worse communicators. And I just thought I had a new question when I was listening to you talk about how the narrowness is going to happen. Do you think that people are starting off in a worse place in their communication now when you start training people? Like even in the last 3 or 5 years, have you noticed that in 2026, you're having to go even further back to start where they're at versus even when you were 3 years ago?
Yeah. So I started back in 2020 was when I first started training, and it was very different back then. Only a few years, but it was very different. Now people want to get better for the camera. That wasn't as big of a thing in 2020. It was starting to just kind of get there. And don't get me wrong, people were still doing it, but now I hear it way more than ever. Yeah. We want to get better so I can do a podcast. I can make content. I can share my message. People are realizing that they need to go digital. They need to be able to share their value virtual. And a lot of people, you can meet them and shake their hand. They're great at communicating. But the second you put that in front of them, they freeze up.
Freak out, yeah.
They think everything is all on them, all the attention, all the eyes, when it's actually less. It's just a piece of machinery. Yeah. And so I believe that when you can truly get out of your head of what people think of you, your communication changes. Now you can make the impact you want to make. And right now it is important, because where the world's going, you do got to show up on camera.
All right, so tell me who you're excited about helping these days. What are you waking up and you're exuberant about helping people? Who are these people you're excited about helping?
Yeah, firstly, I'll share on Monday, I started a new program, and there was 8 people on there. They were all married couples. And whenever I started this is a 30 or 6 week program with this one. Whenever I started to ask, why are you here? Like, why did you spend money to be here? I taught a 1 hour workshop. They showed up and they paid for this thing. And they were all talking about communication issues, obviously, but it was all in the context of marriage. And I've really been feel like God's using me in that area to help people communicate with their relationships. I would say that's not what I'm most excited about, but I feel like there's a huge area for a lot of people where that is a great place to show how good or how bad you are at communication is in your marriage. So with that, but also people in business that truly believe in what they do and they struggle with being able to share it, no matter what it is, making the content, talking one-to-one, where they're in a situation where they know if I had the words to say, or if I had the confidence to be a good speaker, I would go and network. My business would excel. And so it's almost like you have the skills, but there's some blockage with your speaking. That's where it is. It's not the person who maybe was like me, who's like, I just need to get self-development. You're in business already. You understand your words do effectively create your influence. Your influence creates your income, and you want to make more income by speaking. Those are the people.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted you to have room to say that because the people that are watching this, first of all, you're going to find Kody's contact information in the description box of this video. If you are either yourself needing some sort of coaching or training, I want you to reach out to Kody. If you work at an organization or a company and you're in charge of a team, or you're a supervisor or a manager or a director or whatever your title is, but part of your job is reliant on effective communication, please find his contact information in the box below to give yourself an uplift and give yourself some help out, especially because of how the tide is changing online. You mentioned digital. I'm bringing up the AI thing. I think there's we're on this what's it called? A collision course? We're on this collision course where like human effort and AI operating less or more autonomously, and the need for digital presence to be there at the same time. We're on this massive collision course, and a lot of these things are going to crash and hit each other, and there's going to be all this debris, and we're going to okay, what's left? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? How are we going to pick ourselves up? But some things are going to just happen a lot sooner than others, and my heart's desire is for people who are in those roles I was just mentioning to have the type of help that you can give them so that they can get further into what it is they're growing into. They can help more people. They can affect change at the bottom line of their company if that's one of their responsibilities. I deeply care about the human existence alongside the technological aids that we have, and that we don't completely turn over everything to a computer to decide everything for us all the time without thinking twice about it. I don't want that. And some people still value those soft skills. Some people that don't value them as much yet, they're going to see how they're important here in the near future. But nonetheless, when you understand that the soft skills that are not taught often really make the big difference, it translates to everything in life. Those small shifts usually what create the big gain in business and life. And I just believe speaking is that thing. And I'm not biased because I teach it. I teach it because it's my passion that I believe everyone needs. That's awesome, man. I want to ask you two final questions. They're kind of quick, but I intentionally did not prepare you for these two.
Cool.
The first one is, if you had an opportunity to have a meal with anybody and just sit down and listen to them and talk to them. Okay, that's just the answer. All right, Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. I figured you were probably going to say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did. I've had some interesting answers when I asked people that, but I really wanted I was going to ask you, and I was like, he's probably going to say Jesus.
Well, even if you think about it from a communication, as we're talking about level, his ability to effectively influence the 12 and then hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and then thousands and then millions, it's crazy. And even the Bible is written in a way through language patterns that gets people engaged to want to listen and read more. So absolutely Jesus.
Cool. The next thing is, if you were able to be handed a microphone in the middle of an arena with 100,000 people and you get to thank somebody, I know there's lots of people you'd probably thank and express gratitude for. Who would you want to say a kind word of gratitude to?
Honestly, I'd probably say my mom. And we don't have the absolute best or closest relationship, but a lot of the areas that we struggled in growing up, that I struggled in, that I put on her, I realized that she probably had the same struggles with her mom, which is why they translated down. And I believe really why I took this work so seriously, because I didn't want the chains that I was holding on to, or that were holding on to me from my generations, be what I passed down to my kids. So I would just thank her for who she is and even for the negative things that happen, on how God still used those to create such a big ripple in other people.
That's a great answer, man. That's a very good answer. And you
not-
said your mom, and I was gonna ask you if your communication has gotten better. Has it?
It has, especially when I moved out, when I was like 22 years old, I moved out. Of course that got better, but anyone that knows me or knows us would not have guessed that that would be the answer that I'd give, even myself.
Wow.
But it's the truth of where I'm at. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have met you in this season of life.
Yeah.
And then in all these multiple verticals where our like lives are overlapping in all these different weird ways.
I know, which is cool though.
I guess they're not weird. They're not weird when you think about it. They're all these like common denominator things actually. So that's been really fun and inspiring for me. Final thing. Tell everybody that's watching, if any last words of encouragement, inspiration you'd like to give them. Go look right at the audience. Tell them what you want to tell them, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Andy, thank you for having me here. If you guys do want to learn more about effective communication, I specialize in teaching people the soft skills of human behavior, what makes you you, what makes you tick, how you do what you do, why you do what you do, so you can use this stuff to create a bigger influence and impact on the world. Feel free to reach out, kodyg.nlp. I do a ton of workshops for everyday people like you and me, and also big companies and corporations.
Awesome. Great job, man. Thank you all for watching this episode of Friends of Mortgage Heroes. Kody, thanks again for coming by. You did a great job today. Thank you all for watching. And if something that was said on this interview today makes you think of someone else you work with, or your spouse, or your neighbor, or your friend, or whoever it is that you care about, and you want to see them level up or take the next right step in their life when it comes to communication, effective communication, and growth and development, please share this episode with them. Put them in contact with Kody. And if you don't already follow him on Instagram, you're going to find a lot of value over at his account. So you'll find that in the description box below, as well as his contact information. Thank you all for watching this episode, and we'll see you with another great guest next week. Later.
Peace.